If you are following my YouTube channel, you probably know what is a custom step. But if you are not following, basically a custom step, it's script that we run previously and post the rig build. So in order to check where are the custom steps, we just need to select the guide and open here the settings of the root. And we have this second tab called custom steps. So here is where we place our scripts to set what is going to be run before the build and what is going to be run after this build. So in order to create that, you can just add scripts from here or create a new one here. So for instance, if I create a new one and I just call here, let's say here on the post, this is going to be a sample. You can see that this, when I edit, it has a template done here where it gives you some information how to use it, and basically it's an empty method or function. So obviously you need to know Python to do or to create new custom steps. But here I'm just gonna give you some basic custom steps and instructions on how to use it. So basically, if you know how to copy paste or change basic names in a text editor, it's gonna be enough. So don't worry too much if you don't know how to code Python. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to set up properly our environment. So you see here when I created this, it was using like partial name or partial path. The reason because it's doing that is because I have this here on my environment. This is this tutorial environment that I'm using for create these videos, and I have this Maya 2018 dot command, or can be .bat. This is what I'm using to launch my Maya, and using this, what I can do is set up here my environment. So here it's the file open, and you can see I'm setting some environment variables for Maya. So this is gonna be also included on the tutorial, but basically here you can see my Maya app directory is this one. This indeed you don't need it if you don't want. You can use your typical configuration for Maya, but here for each, to keep clean my configuration, I have this custom preferences path. So this, in order to comment out or don't use it, you just need to put this rem word at the beginning. So I'm using a hotkey, but just put rem like this in space, and it's gonna comment out. So anything that you don't need, just put the rem here, and it's gonna comment out this, and it's not gonna be used. So later we have my Maya module path. So basically here I'm adding the mGear installation that it's also on my tutorial project. So this it's also very typical when you install mGear. So if you succeed to install mGear, probably you are using this method. I'm not sure about if you're using OS X or Linux. It's very similar, but I'm not sure if it's gonna be exactly the same. I'm pretty sure you need to do it in a different way. But now we have this, that it's the most important environment variable for these custom steps, that is the custom steps custom variable. So I'm setting here a folder where I want to store my custom steps. You don't need to do it. You can use a full path, but this has some advantages, especially if on portability, because if you move from one system to another, or you have different folder structures and different servers, you want to keep this with a relative path. So that's the reason because we're using this one. So this one is pointing to this folder here. So I'm just gonna go to my environment. You can see this is my Dropbox backup, work in progress, projects, training, improve deformation and custom steps, and environment. So it's this path here, and you see my environment here. My environment, I have my Maya preferences, and then I have one related with mGear, and I have two folders here. The first folder is my mGear installation. It's the mGear that I'm using for this tutorial, and then my custom step folder. That is the one that I'm pointing here. So from here, when I took custom steps, I have 3 folders. This is not mandatory. This is how I structured the things on the custom steps, and I found it's quite useful, but you can use your own if you wish. So basically I have 3 folders. The first one, I call it assets. So basically it's for Maya files that I use on the rigging process. So in this case, it's only the proxy pans that we created on previous videos, but I'm gonna add later the geometry here. So it's stored there. Later I have this data. So the data, it's anything that is not a Maya file and it's not script. So basically, for instance, here I have my skin weights. So I have my Skinpack here, and I have all the weights for each of the objects. I'm gonna re-export this before we continue. And here I'm gonna store other data, for instance, the RBF manager or for instance, the shapes. So the shapes configurations, that is the ones that we're gonna use to recreate the corrective lane shapes structure. Later I have my scripts that are the custom steps. So I have my post and pre-custom scripts. So on my pre-custom scripts, I already have one prepared here that we will check in a few seconds. It's the import the geometry. And then I have another that it's post, that it has all these post custom steps or scripts that we're gonna use to regenerate again or current the status of the rig. I have my sample here, that is the one I just created before. I'm just gonna delete it because we don't need it. And I just come back to my Maya and start adding here all the custom steps. So don't forget to activate pre-custom steps, so it's gonna run that. So I'm just gonna add one, and you can see when I click add, it's going to the folder that we just set on the environment variable. By the way, sorry, the rest of the environment variables are not needed. It's something I like to have on my configuration. And also this, it starts Maya at the end, so it's very important. You want to start Maya after setting on the environments. Okay, so now I have here quick, like direct access to this environment variable that it's pointing to my custom step folder. So when I do add or new, it's pointing directly there. So I want to go to my scripts that are the custom steps, pre, because this is pre, and import geometry. So I'm just gonna add it there. And now I'm just gonna add my post custom steps. So these ones will be on the scripts, post, and this is the order I want to do it. So first, I just want to regenerate my Gimmick blend shape nodes. So I'm just gonna add this. Later, I just want to change my parenting. Remember, in the previous videos, we changed some components parenting for the compression components on the arms and legs. So I'm just gonna add it there. Then I can import my shapes or import my skin. In here the order is not really important, so I'm just gonna import first my Skinpack, and last I'm just gonna import my shapes. Okay, so this is the order I want, and you can see here it says this is a Gimmick blend shape and this is the relative path. So all the path starts with the scripts because we set on the environment variable that everything should be start from this folder, so we already know that. If we hover or mouse, it will give you the full path. So you can see full path and Dropbox, blah, blah, blah. So if you have any doubt how it's working, you can always hover here and it will give you all the information. So it has the status, so if I right click, I can turn on and off the custom steps, so it will not run. And then we have the shared status. It's local, so this is a way that we have to share custom steps among different characters or rigs. So basically the way that you say it's a share custom step is just by placing the custom step on a underscore share folder. And the owner, it's in this case it's none, because it's not when you use share, you want to know where is the owner. But this is a bit more advanced, so for the moment we're just gonna focus on the local custom steps. Okay, so we have all the custom steps add, that's great, but we need to know what they are doing. So let's go here to my Sublime Text and check the first one, that it's import geometry. So basically here we have the run, that it's running this method, very simple, that it's import geometry, and it's parsing here the path relative to the current directory. So OS path absolute on this file itself. So, and it's moving 2 folders up. So you don't need to understand this. Just know that this line here, what it's gonna do, it's move 2 folders up from his current position. So if I go here and I have my pre here, this is my position. So I go 1 folder up, 2 folder up, and now I go this path, that is this one, inside assets, and here I'm just going to import this geo.ma. Okay, but geo.ma, it doesn't exist yet, so I'm just gonna export it. But before export it like that, what I want to do is export first the skinning and the shape. So we're just gonna keep this for the later, because if I export like this, it's all these elements now have other connections, and Maya is gonna export all this. So I'm just gonna keep this for later. Okay, so next one is the Gimmick blend shapes joint. So just going back again to my Sublime Text, and this is the one that is gonna create the Gimmick joint. So we did it by hand the first time. We just select joint by joint and add the gimmicks using these mGear rigbits gimmick joints. But next time we build, we don't want to do like that. So this is very simple. Here you have this create gimmicks method, and you have a very short, but I think it's clear explanation what it does. And basically, if you want to edit this, you need to edit this list here. Just remember, put your names with quotes, and at the end just a comma. So here's the joints where I want to add my gimmick joint. And you can see here that I'm only using the left side. So this will convert the left to right, and it will create the gimmick joints on the both sides. So that's great. Now we're gonna create the support gimmick joints. So this is the ones that, if we show here, are these ones here. So this one has a value, you can see it 0, -8, 0, and 0, 0, -0.5. Well, here was -0.8, sorry. So here, I'm just setting the left position, just so you see the first one, it's 0, -0.8, 0, 0, 0, -0.5, and 0.80. So this will create the support gimmick. So for each of these positions that it's with the square brackets, so X, Y, Z, it's gonna create a new one here. And this is the method that is gonna support this or create these support joints. And now I'm doing the same for the right side. So if you want to add one more, you just need to for instance, copy paste this, just copy, paste, and set here which new position you want to use. So 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, things like that. It's important the order, because the support joints have an index. Here you can see this is 1, this is 2, and so on. So this is going to be relative with this. So I'm just trying to explain this very simple. If you know Python, probably you will find this a bit annoying, this explanation. But maybe for people that doesn't know too much, it's going to be very clear how to edit this. Okay, so this is the gimmick joints. Great. So now I have the change parent. This probably is going to be the easiest one. So I'm just going to go here, change parent. And here I have two ways to do it. This one that it's like commented out, and commented out it's with this symbol, the pad. is using direct names. So here we have a problem. It's that we are accessing this elbow helper root like this, and when we build the rig, if I check here my guide, this object doesn't have the unique name. So you can see here is giving you full path, because the rig, once it's built, will have another root with the same name, and that's not good. I mean, you can use it if you wish. Probably you need to take this full path and copy here instead of this simple name. This is gonna work only if you build from file. Means instead of select the guide that we are doing before and use here shifter build from selection, because the selection is the guide, it's gonna have this name clashing. But if you export your guide using the export template, and then from this template build from template file, because you don't create the guide, you just build in straight from the template that is an external file to Maya, you don't have this duplication of the names. So then this is gonna work. This is the first way to do it. It looks simple, but it can give you some issues. So here's the better method. And it maybe looks complex, but it's not. It's when we run mGear, the build, it's creating a full dictionary. And if you don't know what is a Python dictionary, it's a way to store information with a, let's say, with a label. So for instance, you have, this is my dictionary, and inside my dictionary I have this kind of label here that will give you access to another dictionary internally that it's components, and these components have labels. So you can see this is my elbow helper L1 and so on. So I can access this by this internal path or object, and then I can access the root object internally. So it doesn't matter which name have the final object. I'm accessing this object, let's say, by accessing the internal data of the execution. So it's not the Maya name here. So sorry, I'm trying to make this explanation as very simple as I can for non-Python users. Again, if you are Python expert or you know a little bit, you will find a bit awkward this explanation. But yeah, this is the way that I'm accessing that. So in short, if you don't know how to navigate with Python dictionaries and objects and so on, don't worry. The only thing you need to do, just copy these two lines. It can be one line, but I'm just breaking it in two so it's easier to read. Don't change anything here. Just change this here. So this is the name of your component, and the site and index don't need to be anything else. And then dot root. So you don't need to change that. So the dot root, it's the root of this component, whatever the name is it. And then here is the string name of the control that I want to parent on top. So that's it. Just copy paste this, just change this, and change this one. It should be fairly easy. Now we have the Skinpack. The Skinpack is the pack that we export when we go here to skin and export Skinpack. We have binary and ASCII. I'm using here ASCII file. It's a JSON file, so it's human readable. And yeah, you can export it from here. And when I exported, I think at the beginning of this tutorial. It's here on the data under skin, and here is it. So if I want to, this is my Skinpack, and this is the file. So I'm just gonna open this Skinpack so you can see basically it's a list of all the files, and this is the root path, but don't worry about this, it's not really using this. And here is, let's open one of the JSkin files. So basically this, when it's ASCII, you can read it. What it does, it's you have the information of the blend shape, I'm sorry, not the blend shape, the skin cluster. So you can see here it's a long list with number of index and the skinning value for each of these joints that it's at the beginning. So it's a super long. And this is normally the one that you want to edit or to check normally. Okay, so this is the Skinpack. And here is the custom step for the Skinpack. And you can see basically it's following the same structure as we use on the import object. But instead of going to asset, it goes to data, inside the data skin, and then a Skinpack. So it's the one that we have here. So you can see, I'm just gonna navigate from here. You have data, skin, and it gets this one. So simple as that. And then it's importing this. So if you keep the same structure and you have the environment variables as I have with this environment that points to my custom step path, it's very easy. You don't need to change this. Just keep the same naming conventions and it's there. So that's it for the Skinpack. And last, for the import shapes, it's gonna be here. I have this already here commented out. They basically, you need to point here to your shapes mail file path. And here I'm just gonna use a full path. I'm not gonna go with any complex or file path parsing, and I'm just gonna do it in a few seconds. Okay, so that, I think that's all the custom steps. So now I'm just gonna prepare all the data and export it everything and try to build again. So see you in the next video.